Hi everyone, Paddy here. Just a quick one to let you know the audio is not going to be quite as crisp this time. We had to record over Skype as we had some issues, so the audio won't be as buttery smooth as you're used to, but I assure you, the chat, it is buttery smooth.
Welcome back to All the Humanities. This is episode 43. I know because I looked at the site and I wrote the number down. Last year we had a big season, which I had to look up what it stood for, and it stood for EA, Bethesda, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, something like that. But it's all in different order this time, and I looked and I tried to, and we might do the PC show as well. So I wrote that down and tried to put it in order, and it was like Pusen.
Yeah, I've got Pusen.
Yeah, so
It's not
doesn't really matter. Welcome back, James Carter, joining us once again.
E3.
There we are.
Wow.
So thanks for listening.
That's our
Do you have a drink? Do you have a drinking tone, Mr. Carter?
I do. It's water. Does that count?
Paddy's a stage on from that. I've got a mango pop. What have you got, Paddy?
I've actually also got water. I decided just to go water this time.
Bring your daughter to the slaughter. Have a tea like Paddy. It's just a bag and some water.
Yeah.
Couldn't help it. It's in the game. So EA was the first of the press conferences on, was it Saturday night?
It was,
Yeah,
about 8
a long
o'clock-ish.
time ago it feels like now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A long time with not much sleep in
The
between.
E3 2017 bread has its butter spread out this year. It's quite the loaf. Let's move on.
Christ.
So moving on to groovy things. Egg chasing, Madden 18, drummers.
So I thought the drumming was cool. I enjoyed that. I also liked the stage. I decided to review the stages this year because they're all being quite different. I like the stage. Very, very YouTube red, I thought. Very YouTube.
I ran out of cod liver oil supplements, so I'll go review the stage. How about that?
That's good. That's good.
It's also bongo. I can do it. The Madden 18.
This is like the start. This is like, okay.
Yeah. There weren't any people going.
So we can then. Hello, I'm Andrew Wilson, and I'm disappointing. Stage.
You know what?
In another quick fit of honesty, I need to say that I wouldn't be allowed on the cane and rinse of this EA show because I missed the drums. Doctor Who overlapped with EA show by about 2 minutes, so I missed the drums.
Do you know what would be great on this if they got all those drummers on and they were playing that? They were playing the drum beats, like, and Andrew Wilson came on, started moonwalking, and then these people with horns came on and they were like. I'd really be like, I didn't expect that.
But that would
Trust me, that's what was going on in Andrew Wilson's head.
But that would imply that he has a personality.
I'd love that. Did you see late on in the show that he did like a little bit of a lizard lick, and it was great. His teeth were nearly together, and he went to lick his lips, and his tongue just like literally like went like out between his teeth. Like, it was really bizarre, and I was like, the Illuminati. Illuminati.
Is that why he's like a human Ken doll? He's just a lizard wearing a man suit.
Oh, absolutely. Subterranean lizard people, yeah.
Yeah, but his hair wasn't nearly as plastic as he's ever been. Like, this year, it actually looked human. They've refined the graphics on his head.
Powered by Frostbite.
Frostbite through the Scorpio engine.
That's probably what it is. It's not quite. It's, the glisten in previous years was Unreal Engine 4.
But I like the stage. I like the stage. The stage very YouTube red. I thought. I know it's EA's kind of colour now, but very YouTube red. Lots of circles. The entire stage, kind of the screen was all circly. They had the stage had a circle on the front of it. All the people watching were all sat in like concentric circles. The EA hubs at the back, where all the monitors, where all the YouTube influencers were going to play
I saw
Battlefield,
that.
were all in circles as well. I thought it was a nice visual motif for, hey, we're all going to play together in a big circle.
And it's always seemed sort of quite like super corporate, and the fact that there were going to be people who play games and folks will be watching the people that they enjoy playing games, I think was actually kind of cool. And I mean, so hop, skip, and a jump on from here anyway, but they seem to be bringing in quite a few people who are passionate about their games to talk
the
to them about
Battlefield
it. Yeah.
Reel was a community reel, wasn't it? Lots of sort of exciting moments from Battlefield 1 from the past year. And why not? That's what people who want to play these games want to see, isn't it?
I thought it was really cool.
As opposed to EA's previous years, where I'm the first to say I'd love to hear from devs all the time, but when devs can't actually say anything about their game other than take a number from last year, hopes and dreams of what they're going to produce in 4 years' time. No, well, if that's all your devs are able to say is, we think we can make a good game, well, good on you. That's no detail at all. Let's hear from someone who's actually playing your game and enjoying it then.
Well, they had a few Mass Effect ones from previous years where they just looked like they were in some sort of Nazi camp with a single sort of light bulb in their face, where they were like, it's a
proper interrogation room.
Yeah. Really excited to do Andromeda. I did a drawing!
Yeah. Here's the back of my sci-fi novel that I've written.
I did a drawing. You can't see it, but I did it, and I can tell you about it.
It's a spaceship on its
Is it in
size
space?
a bit
Can't
big.
tell you. Can't tell you.
On its eyes a bit big. No.
More importantly, can you sex it? We can't tell you at this time. Yes.
I'm enjoying that game. Anyway, so Madden, they are doing a story mode this year, much like they did with FIFA The Journey last year, which is called Long Shot, which looked pretty good fun. I also noticed.
I like that. I like they're giving it its own identity. Like, it's not just going to be the Madden Journey. Yeah, I expected that, like, just synergy across the brand. But no, I like the Long Shot. Seems cool. I like it.
There was a wee bit of Inception in there as well, in that I saw this, and the part of me that really, really adores Friday Night Lights looked at this story and just went, yep. And then I noticed that Scott Porter from Friday Night Lights is in it. So I was like, oh, cool. So that,
if you've got that as a cultural touchstone or source text, then use that, surely. Absolutely.
I like Scott Porter a lot. I think he's a decent guy, and he was Friday Night Lights was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I know that the 4K basketball games have been doing sort of RPG type stuff for years and years, but it just seems a little bit different that they've been doing this initially in a football game, and now it's gone to an American football game. Now they're spreading it out to, like, the basketball game. Now that's sort of come back on.
Looks like it's starting in the basketball game. Their NBA Live. Maybe next year we'll get a full-blown mode. Yeah.
It just it must be difficult to do. Like, on top of just doing the new iteration,
just getting the nuts and bolts of a well-refined sports game out there as well. And I mean, it was always said it was tough to actually, they had to bin half the changes they wanted to make year to year and pencil them for the following year, because they don't have enough time in the 12-month dev cycle between iterations to get all that stuff done. So they've obviously put, for both FIFA and for this, a team aside and made a stab at a story. And
well, Frostbite Engine's supposed to be, like, notoriously difficult to adapt to different situations. So the fact that they're doing this in itself, I don't know. I just think it's cool. It's nice to see them sort of making the effort and stuff, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, definitely looks. Yep. I mean, I'm going to preface this with my standard sports comment. Like, it's not for me, but I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it exists. It's
you can see the endeavour, and let's
exactly.
face it. Sort of, if anything has come in for criticism for sort of treading water a little bit, it's been the FIFA games, because they give their audience exactly what they want, and whilst there might be sort of tweaks to the way the game sort of plays and stuff, it's more or less been the same, and last year was decidedly different, shall we say. So yeah, good on them, and I'm glad they're spreading it along and continuing it later on with an extension of the Alex Hunter story, when I didn't think they'd do that. I thought they might they might start with somebody else, but then people are bonding to a character in a football game, and I think that's pretty neat.
Mm.
So they then talked about Battlefront 2, and that there'd be 30 minutes of gameplay.
I mean, I'm sorry, my chinchilla just exploded in the background. Did you hear that?
I did wonder what was going on.
Yeah, they wake up and they have nightmares every now and again. He was laughing at the idea of Battlefront. For half an hour of it, he went, whatever.
Was this the point where they brought on Janina Gavankar?
No, she was way later.
She come sort of much later.
No, they introduced a man who... I thought they were doing a bit about Mordor, because a man came out and he was the brightest man I've ever seen. Like, the lights were down. I was like, oh, it's the Bright Lord. Oh, it's just a guy. They've got the lights wrong.
But they did sort of set the scene for what was coming, and I think at this point, did they go into Battlefield 1 DLC after this?
They did. After saying that games are the best form of entertainment, have they not seen porn?
Oh, Patrick, you're married now. You should have gotten over that long ago.
Dirty mans.
Yeah. So Battlefield 1 DLC, In the Name of the Tsar. Again, like another game I don't play, but I was really taken with the way that it looked and the level of history, and was it there's a female fighting force in there as well, and again the effort, just it's there for everyone to see.
I think the phrase that they used was "Death Squad of Women," which sounds
I wrote that down as well.
I'd see that band.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's not their given name, but if that's an apt descriptor, then yeah, go for it. I think it's nice again that Battlefield 1 was this area of warfare that hadn't really been done a lot. It had generally been passed over in favour of World War II. And for them to go back to it last year, and then this year with the DLC to find another kind of little area of that war that hasn't really been covered and set the game there. Brilliant. Yeah, great.
Well, they took a risk with World War One, and it's super paid off within this last year. I think they've learned their lesson from the issues that were there with Battlefield 4, where the community was just raging because it was super broken. And yeah, all credit to them, because this still looks like they're proper putting some graft in there.
I really like the sizzle reel before they showed it as well, like that little one with all the community guys playing it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That was fun. You know, the guy jumping off a horse and blowing up a tank with a grenade in the air on the horse. Like, well, go on, mate.
Oh my god, that video was amazing. I really like that.
I've never seen so many people shoot down planes with like pistols essentially before in my life.
Because you see, Twitch streamers and YouTubers can come in for criticism for maybe doing the PewDiePie thing to get an audience and stuff. But most gamers would react like that if they did that anyway in their own homes. So it came across as natural, and it came across as people playing the games, and I kind of dig that. I can, whilst even if a game's not for me, I can still grift on somebody else's enthusiasm in a big way.
This was the first instance of having a game changer, I believe they refer to them as, but a YouTube / Twitch personality. And this, I forget his name, apologies to him. Possibly he's glad, because he was clearly really struggling with having a camera in his face and an audience sat around him. And I think his teleprompter broke.
I thought that was the guy for Need for Speed later on.
Oh, we've got things.
Was it?
I've got things about him later. We'll get to him.
Yeah.
I thought this was now that they went into the audience, but you might be right. Yeah.
No, he was later, definitely.
So they mentioned that there were going to be FIFA and Madden championships, and the FIFA one was August, I think. Then they
FUT Champions Cup. Everyone take a snigger, because you misheard it.
Yeah, like, why do they keep saying FUT?
FUT Champions Cup.
That's what it's.
I've written a note that says stop saying FUT.
You're so
we're all
FUT
there. We're all FUT.
Yeah.
FUT off.
So FIFA 18. And then they brought on the brilliant Men in Blazers, who were absolutely fantastic.
Right? No, sorry, no.
No.
Okay, can I just read you my notes for the Men in Blazers? Right, Men in Blazers. Right, Bants. Then I wrote Die.
No.
Then I wrote Jump in Fire, Blaze the Blazers, and then
No.
stick a fucking ball in your gobs.
No.
I was
I
so
thought they were-
uninvested by these men. They made me angry.
The bongo says shush.
No.
Can we agree perhaps they were divisive? Because I've heard both sides of this already in other sources.
I
I
was
just thought
tremendously not a fan. But this bit isn't for me, though, so that's okay. But I was not into this at all.
You see, I will pick up on Josh Garrity here, who said, "Am I supposed to know who these people are?"
Yeah.
And on the one hand, I'd imagine if folks are into footy and have seen their channel, a lot of folks would do. But I will raise my hand and go, I know who one of them is. I knew who Rog is. Obviously, I'm a Manchester City fan, and I watched an interview with Roger Bennett interviewing Pep Guardiola, like the Man City manager, a few months back, and it was the most passionate, funny, warm, natural interview I've seen, and he brought a side out in Guardiola that I haven't seen from many interviewers. He kind of, Guardiola seemed to warm to him and let his guard down a little bit. And I didn't know who he was, and I looked up at that point, and he works for NBC in the States.
Would you say he let his Guardiola down?
That's what I was leaning into, but you'd have thought he's the joke.
Football bounce, I don't really get it.
No, I thought they were really natural on stage, and you could tell that they knew each other well, they worked together well, and whilst everybody's working off an auto cue, I thought they worked it superbly. So difference of opinion, but then the journey, Hunter returns. So again, a return to the storytelling stuff. Looks like they're taking the boy abroad. I don't know quite how they're going to do it, as to whether you're automatically going to get a transfer to a world team, or if it's going to be international stuff, or but they seem to have stadiums from all over the world there, which is kind of neat.
I saw something later that they're going to send them to, like, I think they listed the first couple of places they were going. I think it was Spain first, I think? I watched it a bit later. They kind of segued the end of it really nicely into their community event, at the point where we were midway through the Madden stuff, and I didn't realise it was the community event. I thought it was still the show. Like, hang on, they've tricked me into watching 20 minutes of talk about Madden and FIFA. But they did mention there they're going to go, I think, one of the Spain ones.
Is that your animal as well?
That one
Just
was
dreaming about being chased by police. And the irony is, next we've got Need for Speed Payback.
Yeah. Right.
What?
So
who was that? Who was that man who introduced this bit? Who was he?
I don't know.
Because I wrote a few notes about him as well. I wrote Die for the second time. I didn't know.
You really need to seek some counselling at this point.
It transpires that his autocue broke.
I felt sorry for the guy.
And so he was suddenly left, albeit someone who's clearly used to being in front of a camera, but probably not in front of an audience, without his words. And if you're practiced at that, if you're used to being in that environment, maybe you can get away with it. But even if he knew what he was supposed to say, if the autocue goes, it throws you. And yeah, I felt for him. I don't think that's a big sign that they shouldn't be using influencers or YouTubers or Twitch streamers or game changers. I'm again going to use, because I think that was EA's term later on when they talked about it.
Hashtag.
And yeah, I don't think that's a sign that they shouldn't be involved, if you like. I think it's just that's the downside of having auto cues and having people who haven't been PR trained to within an inch of their life. But it means that at least what you're seeing is genuine, which is more than can be said for some people at these events.
But he did say the word homie.
Yeah, I used the word home slice on Twitter today.
It's 2017.
There's ironic uses and unironic uses of homie, when it's sometimes difficult to tell.
He says that all the time. You can tell he uses that with his jacket and his bad hair. Ooh.
I think I don't know how you dare with that fucking smoking jacket and cravat, with you pointing at your illustration of yourself that's framed in the background.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring a touch of class to this event.
You've got like YouTube 1920s hair. Like, hello and welcome to the YouTubes. Today we'll be playing a board game because that is what I do.
No, let's not be too harsh on Paddy. All he's saying is the guy's mum should probably have been there to flatten his hair down, straighten his shirt, and generally make him look a bit more presentable.
You're so old.
Yeah.
If people haven't seen you, they probably think that you're Ginge.
Aren't I the youngest person on this show right now?
I'm pretty sure you're both younger than me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
I think that
Homie.
the aspect that kicked in here was, whilst I don't know the guy's work or his channel, he's probably just used to going like, oh, hi guys, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've been up to, this is what we're playing, right? And, looking at the chat and playing games and all that sort of stuff. He's then ready to work from a script here, and all of a sudden it breaks, and I think he just froze in the moment. And whilst he was sort of trying to get into a gear which he'd normally get into on YouTube, that just didn't come out. And that, stage fright happens at the best of times. So, I've seen it.
I think that's the thing about it is, I've never been in this situation, and if I was, I'd desperately want to know what I had to say off by heart, and I'd actually want them to turn the auto cue off, because even if you know your script, you know your lines, you know what you're doing, your part, if you like the back of your hand, if there's an auto cue there, you will look at it. But it will draw your attention, and you'll lose it if it goes, because it's knocked you out of your flow.
I agree with you, and I think that, but EA being the company they are, they probably want
There's no way they're putting a YouTuber up there without an auto cue and telling them to read
they probably wanted
that
to
verbatim. Yeah, absolutely.
They probably wanted to sift through that script and refine it and make sure there's nothing particularly offensive. And I felt sorry for the guy in the moment.
But what about the game?
The game, I thought, looked fantastic.
I was ready to hate this so hard, given the way that I've felt about Need for Speed since playing it first when Criterion moved over onto it. I like Burnout Paradise. We can get past that. CJ, it's okay. We both like Burnout. Criterion came on to Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, kind of a Burnout game, but called Need for Speed. Fine, perfect. And then it was just a sharp decline for me in the games to Rivals, where I couldn't stomach that game at all, didn't play the last one. And this, I sent out some snarky tweet about the story in the press release they put out like a week before E3. Just sounded like the most awful, overwrought, quote-unquote edgy nonsense about three drivers coming together to stick a middle finger up to the man. It sounded just absolute rubbish. And then I saw their trailer, and actually, dialogue aside, really loved it.
Well, the last one was kind of leaning into almost a cliche of Need for Speed, and I've heard like mixed reports about some people going like, yeah, it was really cheesy FMV, but I kind of dug it, and other people that were just going like, no. But this seemed to, again, sort of leaning to a kind of cliche racing with the Fast and the Furious stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But in the best way, because that was pure movie and pure spectacle. And as far as I could tell from watching the EA stuff afterwards, that looked, with it being an open world, that looked like an emergent event a la Paradise.
Yeah, hopefully.
So,
and takedowns in there, that's always going to make me smile. Yeah. And they were Burnout-ass takedowns as well. They were proper. You want to clip them on the back corner and watch them go.
And I liked the climbing onto the truck and then getting in there, and I did not expect the car flying out the other side.
Just to burst out, yeah. Like climbing up the ladder was pulling or lighting the wick on a firework, and then just like that calm before the storm, and then just boom, out comes the car. Yeah,
it was pure joy, and I think that it definitely had more of a feel for classic Burnout than I've seen in Need for Speed. Plus, that pure adrenaline and grin-worthy bombast that people love in Fast and the Furious. So yeah.
The only thing for me was just the dialogue was there was just a lot of it. It was all talking. It's like, that would grate on me after a while. If that just happens when you get into, as you say, like an emergent event or a particular mission, and the rest of the time I'm just driving around and it's like the odd thing, fine, but it felt like a lot to me, like to the degree of Ubisoft scripted multiplayer stuff. It felt that forced to me. And I know it's not. I know that was actual voice actors reading a script, playing a part, etc. That wasn't that, but it just jarred that way with me. I just want to be able to blast around in a car doing stupid things and creating spectacle and not being told that it's spectacle.
I did like that you're clearly stealing a car that's owned by
the house,
like a casino, and the house enforcers were the ones that were like chasing you down and stuff. Yeah, and they also, like you were saying, the burnout sort of, and then you're looking to the side and just seeing the car go like.
The car just just launches into the air, flies over the top of you, and definitely.
So I'm going to be the again. I think I might be the push boy on this show.
Oh my God, you're the Babadook.
Didn't do anything for me.
Why do you hate games?
I just decided that I hate games. Sony's was disappointing, so I hate all games now. That's how it's worked.
Is your rodent dreaming about you?
It probably is. Need for Speed. So I was watching it, and I wanted to be impressed, and I didn't care. I was watching it, and I was just disassociated with it. I think it might have been that guy that made me angry before. But I didn't like the crash slow-mos. I don't know why. I liked them in Burnout 10 years ago. I don't think I like them anymore.
You can skip past them.
Can you?
They are skippable. Yeah, they are skippable.
Thank Christ. It's Fast and the Furious as a game. Fine. All right. Yeah, it's fine. But because it's got people in it, right? So in Burnout, when you crash a car in Burnout, it's like, way! I just crashed a couple of toys together. Whoa! Look at them explode. Hey! Whoa! So this has got people in the cars now. There are people. How many cars did they hit during that trailer? They killed so many people to steal one car.
This comes back to one of the things that I really hate about Paradise, which was like a world without people. It's just rubs.
Well, it's just like a video game with the film Cars, isn't it?
No, I kind of like that. Maybe they can do some DLC, Pat, and when you knock sort of like a car off the road, they can tell you some sort of Life is Strange type story about how the dad was a miner that liked steak and crisps.
I tell you what,
on his way to see his daughter with a bag of yogurts.
You get an obituary for the person pops up at the side of your screen snapping.
Yeah, or like a little pod pops out and it's like, they're totally fine, don't worry.
I was going to say that's the other thing is just cause this and just have them, as soon as the car goes into that crash slow, we'll just have an ejector seat pop them out the top and a parachute open.
Like every cartoon in the 90s when Hulk would run up to smash a tank and all the soldiers would jump out of it just before it blew up.
Yeah. Oh, my red-headed stepchild, you're like every one of these internet articles that we generally sigh about of just, you've just done the equivalent of that Shadow of Mordor one. It was like, what if the man who's the main character in the Ranger, he's putting down the orcs because they're like an underclass. And do you remember that?
Yeah, you proper vegan link to this whole situation.
Sorry, I've just been sick.
Yeah, so that's you. That is.
Yeah, no. And things I watched all these shows. I watched them all in the vacuum away from Twitter as much as possible. So I tried not to. When you're watching things with Twitter up, and then the snark train starts, and you can't.
Yeah, no, that's the smart thing.
God, to do, your snark train is your delayed internal monologue.
This is my own snark train. Yeah, it was only me and Laura in the room, and we were just sort of chatting away. And this is a legit snark train. I've written the notes. I wrote them as I was playing, and nothing for EA has made me go cool yet.
What? Oh yeah, good call. Well, let's move on.
See what I did.
So we then went into EA Originals, where they talked about the program to finance smaller games and stuff, and we never did see that one.
It's one per year. So EA Originals, the first year it was actually presented was last year.
Fair.
But the year before was when Unravel was there. And it was kind of like last year, they formalised EA Originals around Unravel, having been there the year before. So last year was Faye or Fee, the little bit Ori looking one with the
purple music.
Purple sprite. Music, your animal going around liberating other animals from whatever. Yeah. Looks really cool, I thought. No word about that at all, which is a bit of a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Although I know it's still underway because I happen to have spoken to someone who's working on it on Kane and Rinse. So disappointed not to hear about that because I'm really looking forward to it. But
maybe they're putting money into smaller projects.
They are going for this. Here's our one per year that we want to really kind of lean into.
If they are investing in other projects and maybe they don't take them on at the end, maybe that money just stays there. It's just like a development sort of.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt that I'm going to say Fee is still an EA original, and they just didn't have anything else to present. They didn't want to get into that Cuphead scenario of we're going to show you this every year and never really have a release date for it. They just wanted to say we're excited to sign Fee last year, and I guess not hearing about it this year means we'll hear about it when there's more to say. So, fine.
Can we just say at this point, I did not expect the game that they showed to be a result of that program.
Yeah.
At all.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was the first kind of not just the now typical sort of after the bloody woolly man that happened a few years ago. This was the first one which was not only sort of a little bit left of centre for EA, but it looked gorgeous and it stirred the imagination. So this was A Way Out by the Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons developers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so just to be clear, Starbreeze did Brothers, Starbreeze of Chronicles of Riddick and Darkness fame. They did that, and they so the director of that game was a filmmaker who was working with Starbreeze, and he and some of the Starbreeze team left to make this. So it's not the exact same team, but it's a lot of the same people and the same director. Cool. So the guy who came on to talk about it. And another AutoCue related note, he came out to talk about his game and had like a few bullet points on the AutoCue, but it wasn't a script.
He was dead passionate, wasn't he?
Yeah, this is his game. Like he knows what he's going to say.
Knows how to talk about his project. Knows how to be genuine about it by just being genuine about it, not forcing that. And yeah, clearly knew what he was doing, how to present this game, and it looked great, I thought. And Paddy, you're about to tell me you hate it, aren't you, for some reason?
Mate, it looked terrible. It looked amazing.
Thank the Lord.
Christ, I was so happy when this came out. I was like, oh my god, something. Like my eyes opened for the first time. Like, oh my god, something I want.
That's the point of this, isn't it? This is the one that if you're not interested in shooters and sports and cars and whatever else EA does, this is where you come because you.
That was it. Different. That was the whole thing. Shooters and sports and cars. You got it all.
Pretty much, but not this. So yeah, what did you think of it? Given you've been down on other stuff.
Christ, I was so happy. I was so happy. Like I really like co-op games. You know, I like playing co-op games with Laura. And these days, you know, in our sort of post-online Xbox Live multiplayer kind of world, it's really hard to find a good split-screen co-op game. You know, that you can play. Like all these experiences that come out, like you can play this all online with your friends, but you can't not in the same room. Like we want that kind of proper full experience. Like we talked about this on the show before, but me and Laura, we played the living shit out of Resi 5, which is the one that everybody hates. No one likes Resi 5, but co-op, that game is a blast. It's really, really, really fun. And we played that forever, and we've been looking for something, to fill that gap, and there's nothing, there's been nothing. If you want to play a co-op game, you're playing some sort of, indie, top-down, Diablo-like, and Laura hates those. There's no real kind of proper adventure games that you can play.
No, it tends to be watch someone else play a Telltale game, or one of you has the controller, both of you make the decisions type thing, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And this seems to be really just leaning into it and designing it from the ground up to be a co-op game that you play on your sofa.
Co-op only, in fact.
Co-op only. Like, yes, please. Yeah. I loved the things we were sort of showing halfway through where, like, one character would be in a cutscene and the other person could walk around, in their own screen and do stuff in the ground. My mind immediately said, I really want to piss about in the back of a cutscene. You've got the kind of really big serious cutscene going on, and you've got the other guy in the back just crouching over and over and over again behind a box. Like that, yeah, give me some of that. I like the style of it. I like that it looks like Prison Break, kind of, but it looks like it's set a little bit in the past, maybe? It's
70s.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I didn't quite I couldn't quite work out the
It,
era.
wa-
at the
it
time,
wasn't
but-
obvious in the game, but I did some digging for reasons I will come to in a second to
I mean,
work out exactly
those
when it was.
chops, those lovely sweet
Yeah.
sweet sideburn chops on that boy, who I've already called. He's mine. Yeah, brilliant. And then the guy who presented it, whose name I've completely forgotten, just passionate about it. He knew his stuff. He was excited to show it off. Christ, I was so happy about this. Like, this is a definite 100% must buy, 100%. And my game of EA's whole show, easy.
Yeah. I got a lot of influences from this. I got a bit of Kane and Lynch when they were,
Close.
when one of them is clearly resorting to violence a lot faster than the other one is, and you've got that sort of tension between them. So, bit of Kane and Lynch, bit of Prison Break, bit of Walking Dead because of the way it plays and the fact that at the beginning of Walking Dead, obviously you end up, quote unquote, escaping from the police. Season 1, that is. And obviously a bit of Brothers, although it's not your right hand playing co-op with your left hand, it's obviously you and someone either locally or online. So, a lot of positive references I could draw or positive influences I could see.
Yeah.
The thing I mentioned a second ago that caused me to go and work out find out exactly when this game was set was Jay Taylor of that there Kane and Rince pointed out something that I hadn't even noticed, which is these are two, as far as we can tell, unrelated white protagonists, both criminals with a heart of gold in a rather white-looking prison, which may be trying to sidestep the obvious concern that the only people of colour, particularly black men in video games, tend to be criminals, and therefore filling the prison with as many black men as should have been in there at the time might not have gone down any better than making the prison largely white with, I think I counted 1 black guard, 2 black prisoners. Jay pointed that out. I think it's worth saying because it's worth talking about why that's the case. So I went and did some digging and read 2 papers on prison populations in the US circa 1950 to 1984 or something. And because why not? If you've got some free time, why not read some papers on that sort of stuff? So these studies went back and looked at intake and what the proportion was. And in 1970, about 40% of men being incarcerated in America were just listed as black, but they don't distinguish any people of color in those figures at that time. Everyone who's a person of color is just referred to as black, and that's it. You're either white or black, which is its own big mess, but that's the figures they have for the time. There's clearly a disparity here. Segregation had largely taken place largely been stopped in the 60s in prisons. So the fact that there are a couple of black prisoners in there that I could spot just in the background shows that it's not a segregated prison, or at least doesn't look to be. And it's just a little disappointing that if you're going to have something set in a prison and you're going to have heart of gold criminals who didn't do it / don't deserve to be in there / are going to heroically make their way to freedom, and the fact they're both white, it's a little bit, it's stuck out. And I didn't notice it at the time, which maybe that means it's not an issue. Jay did mentioned it, and I suddenly thought, oh, that's interesting at least. And I've already spent more time talking about it than I wanted to, so I think we should probably move on. I just thought it was interesting, and I did some reading on it and looked into it, and it's, be interesting to see if they can avoid some common stereotypes when it comes to prison-style dramas that go with race and culture and that kind of thing. So. But game-wise,
I'm interested in the fact that it's not just set in the prison. That there's exploration beyond it. There's driving. That it did look really neat. And I heard that or one of the interviews that I watched, it might have been Eurogamer actually, said that there's a lot of variation in the things that you come up against. That there was one situation where you were going in to rob a garage and you both had to decide who was going to take the gun, who was going to go in there and stuff.
And
And they said you could go in there and try and rob the garage, but they might sort of set an alarm and they might bring the police in. Or you can go in and you can try and scare off some of the customers, so it's just you and them. Or you can go round the back of the garage and like cut the telephone wires and stop them. So there's a lot of variation as to what can go on and how you're gonna think out of the box for the problem. And I thought, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, sounds like a great adventure game if it's allowing you that level of exploration and flexibility.
Definitely.
So,
by the way the guy signed off as well, I've written down the way the guy signed off. Is he Swedish? Was that right? Was I right in writing that down?
I think Starbreeze are certainly Scandinavian.
Yeah,
I don't know if he is. I assume he might be.
He signed off with the phrase "hop, shaky, boom," which is brilliant.
Agreed.
Which does sound like it should be a Hive song. So yeah.
It sounds like it should be the episode title. So EA then went into an AI initiative called Seed, I believe, which then sort of segued into a little tickle for Operation Scorpio. Then they announced that the much-mused Dylan coming from BioWare was actually called Anthem. And we saw a little teaser trailer, which is
I mean, I kind of was a bit annoyed they buzzed past the Seed thing, really. Like, I didn't get a lot out of that. It's like, we're doing this thing. Moving on. It
does sound a little bit like the EA Sciences division, where they're just looking for technologies that are going to help improve the way you make games. Because they mentioned getting Frostbite running on Scorpio and how amazing that was going to make games in the future, etc. But clearly, they've set up this group within EA to push forward. It sounds like they've got the engineers and the sort of scientific side really pulling to make sure that Frostbite stays at the forefront of what's going to come.
Just imagining Pat on the couch, like just scowling, just going, this AI initiative, in his sort of cravat and his housecoat, going, this AI initiative, what is it? What could it be? I need more details. Why are you talking to me about this? And I'm sitting on the couch like Homer Simpson going like, get to the Scorpio! Get to the Scorpio! This is coming for Project Scorpio. Woohoo!
So, my problem was they called it a Seed, and I just started thinking about Gunblades.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. What did you think of your first little sweetener of Anthem?
The sweetener was cool. I thought it was quick. It was like, hey, there's a wall and it's space. Yep. I was like, cool, they're doing a Destiny. Fine.
Yeah.
They must have been desperate to show this off at their own conference. I guess the attraction of having it shown as one of the pillars on Microsoft's stage where they know a lot of people are going to want to see what the Scorpio can do makes sense. But there must have been a moment there where they thought, can we really give up our big BioWare? This is the next step for that team. Give that up to someone else. That I just feel like they got a really cool. It was like, it wasn't even a minute, I don't think, trailer. It was like 40 seconds or something maybe. That just set enough of a scene for me to click. This is obviously Dylan. I see why they said it was Destiny-like, because it just ticked all of those boxes, didn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of was a bit... Like you say, I was a little bit disappointed they only kind of showed a minute, a quick thing, and moved on. In the middle of a presentation that I found, with one or two exceptions, incredibly predictable this year. Like...
This was like no, please tell me more.
It's It's in a year of just adding one to the numbers and adding, announcing DLC packs. Like, this was one of the only surprises, apart from really A Way Out. This is one of the only real surprises they had. It's like, we've got this. We'll show you tomorrow.
I'll tell you what was unpredictable. When they went to a basketball game and it started off like a game of Final Fantasy Tactics with two people sort of going through a slow-mo on the television.
They went out to like a car park, which is where they were holding the EA kind of their equivalent of Treehouse for the rest of the week, I guess. And yeah, they had this thing that looked like a PowerPoint presentation of how when you get in close on someone, suddenly you can control which hand you're going to dribble with. It was just this. I put in my notes fine control dribbling, which does sound a little bit more like someone who's got salivary problems, but it was just like suddenly everything stopped and you're looking at this weird going on the screen. And I get that's what basketball is. To play basketball it's not just charge down the court, throw a ball at a basket. There is all of that kind of mind game going on how you're going to feint and trick your marker, because especially in US basketball, NBA, it's man marking. You're not allowed to do zone marking. So you're always going to have someone who is your assigned marker next to you, and you have to get into a mind game with them as to how to lose your man, essentially, how to get away. And so I get that that's a big part of the tech that goes into the game, but I didn't know if this was going to be like a little mini game that plays when you're in the middle of a match, or this is just an example of the tech they're using.
Like, this is how you do everything, yeah.
It was the great moment towards the end, though, which is highlighted by, I think, Easy Allies, where the guy from the director of the game, just towards the end of the segment, gave a death stare to the guy that he was with. Just gave him this proper, like, lingering scowl.
Someone said the wrong thing.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, again, it's a basketball game with a story much like the other ones. But the stuff that I really did like on this was the street basketball looked great, where you got like the loot for like the new trainers that looked genuine fun. I really like that.
Yeah. I mean, that harks back to the white men can't jump side of is a very different thing about going to be a pro basketballer and being a basketballer in these kind of legendary street courts, and that's not where pros go to play, or if it is, they can't expect to be treated as something grander. You know, they're there to play basketball. You're going to get knocked on your arse, and you're going to make a different kind of name for yourself. So they're calling this mode the one, and it's not the same kind of story mode that the Journey 2 and Longshot are. It's much more like you've got a leveling up system, so you go and play street basketball like you would in Skate to get the attention of sponsors that might not take notice of you if you're on the courts, to develop skills in a certain way to basically level up your character. So you're not getting that really honed narrative, it didn't sound like. They certainly didn't make much mention of that, but it sounds like you do have a single player, almost basketball RPG side of things going on.
Yeah, I counted 3 different modes on that one. There was the pro side, there was the street side. No, they did seem to highlight the like college side, like the amateur side as well.
Yeah. Well, that
seemed
would
to be a separate
entity. That to be kind of the long phase tutorial. If you want to start off a character right from the beginning, you can go through college ball and into the draft and see where you get drafted, which will determine which team you go to, rather than just picking, I want to play for my favorite team that are the best ones. You actually have to play a career like as a very, very rough approximation of what someone who's actually hoping to be a basketballer would have to do.
Oh my god, I figured out that slow-mo. What if the journey of the one like leads you to a one-on-one with the one? Like you have a basketball face-off with Keanu Reeves.
I was going to say it's
and then if you manage to kind of get past him, you join the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar, and you go fighting into different realities, and like you dance around somebody, and like you dance around like an Agent Smith, who's like, I know kung fu basketball. I don't know.
there is no hoop.
And then eventually you strap on one of the mechs and you play mech basketball for
just imagine
the Nebuchadnezzar trotters.
You go like there is no hoop, and then you turn around and Keanu Reeves has got his pants down, pointing his arse at you.
Why is naked Keanu Reeves standing behind you, CJ?
There's your hoop.
Oh, it went too far.
No, it's just about.
It went just right, did it? Just the right amount.
It's the baby bear's porridge of podcasting. So they then went into a charity initiative where they've raised $1 million, or they've donated.
We mentioned this last year, didn't we? Because again, I looked to try and work out. The idea is that Origin Access, EA Access are free for the week of E3 for the game, anyone to play the games that are on there. And some of those
you're on
games...
PlayStation, where they decided it wasn't good value to pay £20 a year and have loads of games. Thanks, Jim Ryan.
Well, they have put
seem a
some
little bitter about that.
They have put some games up on that, haven't they? They have put some games up.
I don't know which
today,
ones. I don't know whether it's all the ones
standard,
that are on Access.
The standard
There's Battlefront, there's a Titanfall trial, I think. Get on that, Paddy, because the game is good.
Probably Battlefield 4, I guess, will be on there. Maybe, who knows.
Yeah, lots of sport.
Tickles.
Here's my thing again. Like, I'm sure we talked about this last year. Like,
you did.
We kind of like, it's like, oh, did you? Like, I've not heard about this until E3. Like,
yeah,
there's no press. There's no like, they don't talk about it on like, you don't go on your Kotakus or whatever and see. I just find out about it at the end. It's like, well, you've already done it. I'm like, oh, okay.
And the other thing is, they pitch it as, we want you to get involved and complete the challenges to be part of this charity drive. But they're very specifically, I guess, because they have to, because the way it would sound if they said, if you don't play our games, we're not giving $1 million to charity. That $1 million is going to these charities whether or not you play the games.
Yeah.
This is literally about awareness, isn't it? They're not holding that money to ransom.
No, completely.
They're not only giving half of it if people don't meet the challenges or whatever. Because they can't. Because EA can't be seen to be literally holding a charitable donation ransom, even though that's what fundraising is.
Because not enough people shot battle droids.
Exactly. You can't do that. You can't put that onto the players, and you can't, as a company that is often seen as somehow de facto evil, despite just being any other company, you can't be seen to do that. So it's this weird thing where they do this and claim it's tied to, but it's really just an awareness thing.
Is this what the EA game changers are? I've written that down and I don't remember what it is.
I know Game Changers was mentioned with Battlefront 2, where they were talking about testing multiplayer and getting people... Yeah, they were the people who were... They're essentially the influencers of the Battlefront community.
Yeah. But no, Andrew Wilson's clearly not listening to us, is he? Well, I told him last year, tell us about it before it happens. Come on, Andrew.
Andy Willie.
Andy
Willie. So
Andy.
This was the point where we finally got Janina Gavankar, who was amazing. She was effervescent, she was elegant, she was excited, she was passionate. She didn't flub one single line. I loved the bit where she was saying like that she got a mum with her and she's just... she was amazing.
Perfectly genuine. Yeah, absolutely. Her mum was backstage and was thrilled that she was here. Yeah, just lovely.
I think it was a wee bit strange that they'd acknowledged that everybody wanted a single-player campaign in Battlefront 2. They brought in the lead actress from Battlefront 2 and then showed you half an hour of multiplayer, which seemed a little bit at odds with that. But I
wrote that exact thing down. Yeah,
I can't say enough about her, and in many ways, her appearance in this has made me want to play that campaign because she was awesome, absolutely awesome. And
her dress is now available for people to buy because people asked, and so she asked the designers, and they've said, "Yeah, sure, we'll make it available to the public." Because obviously that's based on her costume in the game, and really cool. Yeah, with the red stripes across the right shoulder.
Lapel.
I
liked her eventually. I didn't like her at the very immediate. I thought it was a little bit too serious at the start. Little kind of stomping out.
It's just your way, Patrick. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, just a little bit too like, we're gonna.
What has happened to you?
And Laura categorically despised her. But she hates Aisha Tyler as well, and she just hates that the girl gamers. And I'm not saying that's right. I disagree with her as well.
Doesn't Laura hate everybody that's not sometimes you and that?
No, I'm definitely that
midget
included.
from Lord of the Rings. That's pretty much. It's pretty much her tolerance level, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm not even mocking here. It's sometimes you. And the midget from Lord of the Rings that was in Broken Age.
Basically dead on, yeah. No, she hated her. I thought I warmed up to her by the end. Like I initially was like, a bit too surus at the start, but then it kind of shone through. I think they should have I think she could have easily done the whole show. Like I think she's got the sort of personality and the sort of delivery that would have done well because she was professional. She knew her lines.
Yeah, I agree.
I think next year that's what they do. This year it made sense. Don't bring her out until you're talking Battlefront 2. Next year we know who she is. We know that she wants to be there. We know that she can put on a good show. Absolutely, she runs the EA show. As far as why not, frankly. I do know what you mean, Paddy. When she came out, she had that kind of this is an acted moment where I am going to explain what is going on in the single player of Battlefront 2, and she was talking about what the setup for the game is, and that was an acted piece that wasn't really her. She was acting, as.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! Somebody came on stage who was an
act.
actor who was acting, and then went, "Actually, I was acting."
Yeah.
That was me acting.
Wonderment.
I don't know. I found it a little bit too serious.
So I know what you mean. It was serious, but it was supposed to be serious. The point was to introduce the game and then say, "Isn't this just fucking great?"
But then,
which is exactly what you
But
did.
then just show off that. Like they did that.
It would have been nice to see more single player.
Here's the serious bit. By the way, here's some YouTube people.
Given we were going to get the 30 minutes, yeah.
Did it make you happier when John Boyega came on? He spoke about free content, that Finn and Phasma were going to be in the game, and there was going to be a free season pass.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really, really good. Yeah. Like, don't split your audience base. There's 3 times the content coming for it. So 6 maps now?
Well, I heard with the first one that there was a gun that came as a pre-order bonus that was staggeringly overpowered, more overpowered than anything else in the game, which was a little wonky in of itself. But yeah.
It's not a defence. We've seen what happens with games that come out too early and haven't been finished and get pushed out to make a deadline or whatever. Battlefront, the first, not the original Battlefront, the one that came out 2 years ago, they got the license and announced the license in Easter. It was 2 months before E3, and they got that game out by November. I don't know to what degree they had the ability to think through all of the stuff they did with that game. It's not a defense, because putting an unbalanced, paid-for piece of DLC into a multiplayer shooter is just what were you thinking? But to see them say this time round, right, fine, I don't know if there'll be any paid-for cosmetic stuff. I have to imagine there will be.
Yeah,
I can't remember hearing anything about it, but why wouldn't they?
I did
skin in there or whatever.
Did like that John Boyega flubbed his line at one point. It's almost like he went, "No, I'm only doing this once." Yeah, I'm only doing this once.
We're on the clock here, sorry.
Yeah. How do I spell it out to you? I'm in a play.
I'm doing acting.
What did you think to the 30-odd minutes of demo that they gave?
I really liked it. I liked it.
That's right.
I'm still not going to buy it, but I liked it.
Sure.
I mean, the thing is for me, we spoke about this on the prediction show.
Yeah.
If a game's going to be big multiplayer focus, if that's what they're going to push forward, I know it's got a single player point, but the real story is the multiplayer on this sort of game.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
If the game's multiplayer focused, that's an immediate for me. I don't play that kind of game. I have that game. It's called Destiny. I don't need 2 of them. You know what I mean? And it looks brilliant. It looks fine. I play
Twin Destiny, like that podcast that we
did once.
Did for a bit.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
But I can appreciate it from the outside, and I'd like to have a go at it, but I'm not going to spend £50 on it.
Sure.
You can appreciate it from your own living room. You don't have to be outside.
No, I'm going to go.
Come in, Laura. No.
I'm going to put it on telly, walk outside, and look at it through the window.
Yeah.
Well, just to give it that 70s sci-fi look on the screen, presumably.
You run it through a CRT.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was cool. I see what they're doing with the game changer people, getting them in to kind of change the game. Fuck. Should have thought that through.
Game changers
to provide feedback. I mean, fine. Cool. Get people in to test it. Great. They've just basically made a big deal of the fact they've had people in to test it.
Which happens in any competitive multiplayer type of game these days. You have at least one person from the competitive community comes in. Capcom do it with producers on their fighting games now. They pull someone in from the community. It's Seth Killian for Street Fighter 4.
Tells you the
Peter Rosas for Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
It means you've got someone in there who you can stick a controller in front of and say, does this change we've made just break the game? Can you tell us? Because we don't know. We're too in the weeds on this stuff.
But then they run around with Darth Maul and get like 25 kills and are like, that's fine.
That looked like Darth Maul needs some health points taken off to me.
Yeah, that was a bit good, wasn't it?
Well, I'm sure afterwards they were saying like, what's the trick with Darth Maul, and they were just like shoot from distance. So like,
yeah, and they
shoot him with a gun.
And they stuttered over that point as well, because clearly they didn't know what the answer was, because there isn't anything you can do, basically.
Right.
So just quickly, I still don't think multiplayer shooters, especially first-person ones, make particularly good spectator esports. Because, yeah, we had 3, as far as I can tell, very professional shoutcasters, sportscasters, broadcasters, commentators, whatever you want to call them, who knew how to present this stuff. But the camera was just chopping and changing between character. Unless those commentators are telling me exactly what's happening in the overall game, I can't tell by following one person around and then zipping up into a TIE fighter in the sky and watching them blow someone up. I don't know what's happening in the game. It's not, with a fighting game or with a Heroes style game like League of Legends or whatever, MOBA. You need to be able to see enough of the battlefield to see the tactics, to see the swing and the change in battle.
I think there was a thing to interject here that I've mentioned before. True Talent on Twitch, who was a fighting game player who taught me loads about Souls, PvP and stuff.
Yeah.
And he did a stretch where he was kind of a commentator on Rainbow Six, where they did the big kind of tournament over in Poland and stuff. And one of his caveats that he wanted in his contract was he wanted to control the camera when he was commentating.
Therefore, you're not just reacting to someone else's editorial choice. Yeah,
so he could go like, right, this is the other team, they're going in there, and he could follow that team, and he was
here's
like,
what's about to happen,
look,
and I will show you why.
Exactly, and so you've got somebody that knew the game inside out, he was really good at it, that was strategic, that could move the camera and within that and can focus on what's happening, and that was pretty slick, and all credit to him for having that sort of in his contract in that regard.
It was fine for this because we just wanted to see what different characters and different vehicles could do, and that meant just chopping and changing everywhere. But if this was me trying to watch a competitive match, maybe I'm just not up to the task because I don't know the game well enough. I didn't feel like I got any handle on which side, which person, which whatever was controlling the battle, what was happening, who was winning, whatever.
Alan's got the big droid. Oh, he's shot a rocket. Oh, and he's been destroyed. Doesn't give me anything.
No.
Right then, you sexy bitches. Nintendo's about to start, so we're going to run off and watch that. Apologies if the quality on this is a bit rubbish because we're running a backup because my audio stuffed up. But thanks for listening. We'll have another one. Microsoft next. Woohoo!
Microsoft next.
Cheer bye. Goodbye, people. Bye.
Bye.
Hop, shaky, boom.